I don't think there's anything more important than the people on your team. I think it's the number one driver of business success, period. I don't care, and if you're in a creative space, people are your asset. You are not your product or your service that you deliver. You are your people at the end of the day.
Hey everyone, today we have Fletcher Wimbush, the CEO and founder of Discovered Performance Hiring Software. He has dedicated a decade to tackling hiring's hardest problems. He's been published on topics like reference checking, aptitude assessments, and AI's role in candidate selection. As an ethical AI proponent, he's focused on pioneering AI-powered initiatives for talent selection. Welcome to the show, Fletcher.
Thanks for having me, Robert.
In prep for the show, Fletcher and I had a conversation, and one of the things that happens quite a lot within the agency space, especially when it comes to hiring creative design talent, it can be particularly challenging because portfolios can be actually incredibly misleading. And the results of hiring someone based on their portfolio can actually end up having for a lackluster hire. And we don't want that for you. So we wanted to explore tools, systems that you can leverage to allow for you to be able to make the best possible design talent hire so that you don't end up in that example of a bad kind of use case. In my experience, at least, portfolios often highlight this like really polished final product, right? But many agency owners need to be able to dig deeper. So how can an agency owner dig deeper to understand the candidate's actual true design process, understanding, critical thinking skills, all of that, so that they can differentiate between the collective work that was done for a portfolio item versus what they did themselves in that work?
I think this is an age-old question and affects lots of different types of roles, but creatives are notorious for this. There's one really simple interview question that I would pair with a portfolio of all the things that you showed me. What was your most significant accomplishment? Ideally, maybe you're doing this in a conference room over Zoom and like have them walk you through it, right? So like pick of all the 100 things that you sent me in your portfolio, which one or the one you're most proud of, right? And so that's a good starting point. And then from there, it launches a list of, well, walk me through the process for creating this end product, this video, this landing page, this image, this ad campaign, whatever you're talking about, this ebook, this slide deck, right? And let's walk through it. So what was the process? How did it begin? What was the customer request? Or why did the project exist to begin with? Who was involved in this process? What were the steps that you took to get through this process? So break it down. Now, anybody who knows what they're doing can break down their process for you in extreme detail. The people who are faking it will gloss over stuff, right? Or the smart people, really, really intelligent people, and I don't want to discount them either, might gloss over some things, but they will still be going into these random details and they might be going too fast for you. So that's okay. Rein them back. Say, hey, wait, take a step back. Can you just chunk this down? Talk to me like I'm a 5-year-old or something, like you would with AI. But get them to really break it down detail by detail. First thing will happen, you'll start to have some like questions. They'll say something and you'll be like, oh, that's interesting. Tell me a little more about that. Or I'm curious. Or, well, what did you do? And if you're a subject matter expert, then you can really get into the weeds with them. Well, how'd you deal with that problem or this challenge? What tools did you use? So again, this now starts to unravel like what tool set. Are they Canva people or are they Illustrator people? Like what tools are they savvy with, right? So this sort of answers like every question you might have on your job description just by this one question, by picking this one project and just dissecting it in extreme detail. So what was the purpose of the project? Who else was involved? What were the steps? How long did it take? What challenges occurred in the process? How did you deal with them, overcome them? Maybe it was the client didn't give us great direction. We built it and then they gave us a bunch of negative feedback and
lackluster feedback.
Yeah.
Never happens.
Yeah, never happens. Right. What did you learn from that? How did you adjust your approach? Did you get mad at the customer and like fire them, or did you throw a tantrum, or did you find a more constructive way to deal with future customers or this customer to sort of reset the Or I had another person on the project that wasn't pulling their weight, or there are all sorts of challenges or possibly come up right in these journeys. So it's these who, why, what, when, how type questions followed up with any sort of what I call the art of being curious, which is the tell me more or how, or like just the little follow-ups, not leaving any stone unturned, and trying not to make assumptions as well. So especially if you're a subject matter expert, then somebody might say something and you sort of jump to a conclusion because you think you know what they're talking about, because you do, because you are an expert. So, I mean, right there, it's just one interview question.
I mean, I find that very interesting, right? And just going through that, and it definitely will uncover a lot. I also would potentially add on to one other piece of what components, not the piece of who else was involved is great, but when were they involved, I think is also incredibly important throughout the process, because what feedback did they provide? What influence did they have specifically with that design work? I think is particularly important. The other thing that I was kind of wondering, and would love to hear your thoughts on it, that can put the candidate on the spot and make them feel very uncomfortable. So this is why I'm asking this question. I have found it to be particularly useful, but asking them to actually present the design after going through that exercise of that conversation, to actually hear the way that they are able to articulate themselves from an artistic vision perspective, because I have a fundamental belief that those that are working on the work should be the ones that are presenting the work. They're the ones that are closest to it. They're the ones that understand it the best. They're the ones that should be able to present it to the client in the most articulate fashion. But knowing designers, many of them introverts and not quite as, don't have the same kind of design abilities, not design, but presentation ability, and asking them to actually present it to you. What are your thoughts? Do you hate it? Do you like it? Tell me more.
I don't know. I mean, if that's going to be part of the job description, if they're going to be the ones presenting it, then yeah, that's the role they're going to play. I think even if they're not, to kind of play along with your desire there, that I want to understand their sort of vision for the creativity, I think is what you're driving at, right? I want to be able to hear them articulated and sort of kind of get a sense of how they creatively think about and articulate their vision for something. I want to be careful not to ding them for their poor communication skills in that case. Again, if they're not going to be expected to present that vision to customers, right? They are, then then I care about how well they can do that, right? And how well they can sell that vision and that creative idea. But if they're not, which I think is probably in many cases not the one doing it, then I want to be careful to not discount or ding introverts for their challenges around communication. I don't want to say poor communication because it's actually often not accurate. Introverts can be very good communicators.
Sure.
They're not extroverts like me, maybe, who likes.
I'm an introvert myself, so
yeah, right. And you're a really good communicator.
It was a skill I had to learn.
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly. I mean, my CTO is the best communicator I know, and he doesn't like talking to people, right? And we can talk about communication in maybe another episode. That's a whole nother topic.
Sure. Yeah.
But I want to be careful not to discount or disqualify an introvert for their quietness, their short answers. I want to help draw out their answers by asking them these follow-ups or being curious, asking these curiosity questions to get them to talk more. If you get an introvert to talk about something that they're really passionate about, they will talk to you, by the way. Yeah. they'll talk to you too much. They'll give you too many details. But the secret to this is you just got to give it time, right? Don't make up your mind like that, right? Bear with them, hang in there. I think introverts, or from a personality perspective, is often considered people with high conscientiousness, are often, that's kind of the main trait, or steadiness is the other trait that introverts exhibit, are so valuable, especially in creatives, anybody doing technical work, but anybody doing creative work. Now, creatives are a blend of those and some other special power, by the way, which, I mean, I don't know. That's a whole nother thing too. But man, to just give them a chance. Don't make up your mind too quickly on them. Be patient with them. Help them tell their story by asking good questions. And, if you give them a good solid chance and they just cannot, if they just fail, then, you might have to decide.
I believe in having a slower interview process and making a programmatic decision. Not saying that slow means that you need to take weeks or months to make the choice, but slower, and that there's multiple different touch points, that sort of thing. And one of the things that I like is the idea of including some kind of exercise.
Right.
And if it's going to take more than, 30 minutes of the person's time, you should pay them for it. But having some aspect of a creative exercise or a design challenge or a brief or some work that they're going to work on so that you can see their ability to both problem solve and manage and the kind of questions that they ask, that sort of thing, so you can see what it would be like to actually work with them. What are your thoughts on that?
I love it. And I like to position it for them, their benefit, as much as it is for your own benefit. So look, Robert, is this going to be the right home for you? So I want to create an opportunity for us to collaborate together. And I have a real world project and I'm going to deliver it to you in the same way I would deliver it to you if you came and worked here. So you're going to get a sense of how we're going to interface, right? Hopefully I'm going to have an open door policy and you can ask me any questions, or if you need help, or if it's a logistics thing, like, I don't know, I need to log into this thing, whatever. I'm going to be here. I'm going to support you. I want you to come to me and ask and you leverage me as you would in how you would operate normally. But this is going to give us a chance to work together. You're going to get a flavor of how I operate, and I'm going to get a flavor of how you operate. And we're going to collaborate on a project together. I'm going to pay you for it. I'm going to pay you probably a bit of a premium, top it off, like project rate or higher hourly rate, as if you're a contractor. And we're going to get to know each other. And you're going to get to know other people on the team, because there's 3 other people who are going to be involved in this. And so you're going to get to know some of your coworkers and take some time when you're meeting and interfacing with them to just get to know what their hobbies are, what they're like, and what it's like working here. So this is an opportunity for us to make sure that before we move in together, that you're going to be really happy here, right?
Yeah. I have a follow-up question on one of those pieces, I suppose. And the question is that one of the things that I have suggested in the past, and feel free to disagree with me, I'm totally fine with it. In fact, I'd rather enjoy it. I've had, when it comes to design work, especially when you're evaluating multiple potential candidates for the exact same role, I have them actually have each candidate do the exact same project. So they're supposed to be producing the exact same work. They're getting the exact same brief, so that I am actually doing a side-by-side review of the types of questions that they ask, the critical thinking, the way that they communicated, understanding that working style. But I largely very adamantly agree that the candidate needs to choose you as much as you choose them, right? Yeah. That it needs to be home for both of you. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's pretty situational. I like that. I mean, where possible, again, it's recyclable and you can reuse that exercise again and again, hiring lots of creatives that are all design or whatever area that they're in. I think the practicality of it sometimes is a bit challenging. So that's the reason why I go with, like, here's a real life example, real life project, real thing that's here now, present, because now I'm ready for it. I already have a project brief. I'm already sort of like in the
You're
moment.
Also getting paid for it, likely.
Yeah, and I'm paying for it, and I need the work done anyways. And now, the risk is, that they deliver something bad. And now this happens to me all the time, by the way, like wherever possible. Again, assuming I have 2 or 3 good candidates. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I only have one who I think I'm hoping is good. But I definitely do this same exact practice. But I think you have to be a little flexible on that. I think would be my pushback, is like, there's reality that I just need this done. I'm ready to do it. I'm in the moment. If you're a bigger shop, hiring lots of people, the universal same project for every person over and over again probably works a little better.
So there's a lot of costs that go in, obviously, into hiring and to compensating people. And there is a whole lot of costs that go into hiring the wrong person, aside from the project going wrong and having to redo work and all that sort of stuff. What are the kind of hidden things that we don't often think about in the cost of hiring the wrong person and not being programmatic and thoughtful about this process?
Yeah, I think it's enormous. I mean, the actual cost of hiring somebody is actually not very much. Maybe a couple $1,000, maybe, if you factor in time and ads and paying them to do projects and assessment tests that you might pay for, or other tools and things like that. It is all an opportunity cost problem. It is 100% a huge cost in that sense. So not delivering your project on time, unhappy customer. What does an unhappy customer mean? No more referrals from them, no more repeat business. So if your average project value is $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, that bad hire is costing you your next $10,000, $25,000, $50,000 project. It's also costing you not a referral. to the next person. So very happy customers, especially in the creative space, tell other people, hey, I have this agency and they're amazing. You need to use them, because everybody's frustrated with their agency. I'll tell you that, right? So, or not, hopefully not yours, right? But a lot of people are frustrated with their agency, right? So if you stand out above and beyond, you're going to have such an evangelist of a customer. Well, there your marketing budget is wiped out. Like, now that people are knocking on your door, and each one of those is 10, 15, 20, $50,000 customer or project that you land. The other part of it's other really A players. So if you tolerate C players or worse, problem generators or talented terrors. So talented terrors are the tricky ones. They're really good at what they do, but they are so difficult to deal with. Nobody
culturally,
that drives away other good people. And then it's a never ending thing, right? So now I'm behind the 8 ball. I don't have the resources to get this project done. I lack the capacity to take on more work. It is what I call $1 million problem. It's that big of a deal.
Yep. It's not an insignificant number.
No.
I guess I have one last question. I'm sure that we could go through so much nuance when it comes to hiring. There's a component to one of the things that I've said, the reality of living within an agency in the hiring needs. So I'm going to kind of paint a picture, and then I want to hear your thoughts. Agency has work coming down the pike. They didn't realize that they were going to not have enough team members. More than multiple clients said yes at the same time. They need to hire quickly. They also are cautious about having hired the wrong person in the past. They need to strike a balance between being decisive while also measuring twice and cutting once. Also being a bit behind the 8 ball in timing. How do you go about thinking about the right balance in thinking about things far enough in advance, thinking about how to be decisive, and also knowing that the best candidates that are out there get hired pretty quickly? I want to say that some of the average is 14 days that they're looking for a job. So you have to be rather decisive anyways. What are your thoughts?
All about building a talent bench, man. Like, you always got to be recruiting, period. And it's a difficult thing for any leader to deal with, in a small agency or a leader within a bigger organization. But boy, you got to make the time. Every great leader in every great organization will tell you this. They're always recruiting. They're nurturing their talent bench. And so that means I've got ads. I'm automating a lot of the hiring process from the inbound influx of people. And as I begin to identify high potential folks, I'm having conversations with people that I'm not ready to hire. I'm starting to build a relationship and then determining, hey, that's somebody worth following up on, right? And then you're putting them in a bucket, like a CRM or an applicant tracking system is a CRM for hiring, right? So you have a special bucket for those people. And once a month, I'm looking at that bucket and I'm saying, oh, Robert was amazing. Let me just send him a quick note, or let me check him out
Stay in touch.
on Facebook or something and comment on one of his posts. I mean, it could be as simple as something like that, right? Or, make these social connections and then just say nice things to them and comment on their posts and like their posts like throughout your day-to-day life. That's pretty easy to do. I'm already doing that anyways, right? Most of the time.
Probably more than we should.
So that's one good way. Referrals is another big one. So tapping into your existing team to get referrals. Those candidate leads can move very fast. And they could also help you build your bench too, if they don't have that immediate need. And if you're really in a pinch, you just got like a full court press, right? So I'm going to do direct outreach. I'm going to do inbound marketing ads, right, to drive candidates. I'm going to really lean into my referral program, and I'm going to be very, very aggressive. And you got to make the time for it. You won't want to, you won't have it, but you're going to make the time for it and stick with your systems though. Like, don't settle.
I'm going to double tap on something that you just said that I just thought really interesting. And I think most people do not consider when it comes to hiring. That is a pretty big pet peeve of mine, that there's more thoughtfulness, more thinking, more attention, more advocacy internally for acquiring a client than there is about acquiring and gaining a new team member. You were talking about an applicant system, a CRM for your recruiting, which is something that some agencies don't have for their marketing either, but thinking about it in a very marketing oriented sense. And the reason why I suppose that it frustrates me the most is that you have a person, you spend more time with these individuals than you're ever going to spend with a client. They're working alongside you. The biggest expense that you have in the business, more expensive than your marketing budget, and many times over, but you put this much attention to your hiring and then this much attention to sales. It's like, why?
Yeah.
I don't know whether you feel the same way and it frustrates you as much.
I feel the same. I mean, look, I've been thinking about hiring and building teams my entire life for 26 years. I don't think there's anything more important than the people on your team. I think it's the number one driver of business success, period. I don't care, and if you're in a creative space, people are your asset. You are not your product or your service that you deliver. You are your people at the end of the day. And so, if you're ever going to level up, you're going to have to have that light switch moment where you're like, becomes a really, really high priority and we're always going to dedicate time to it. And that's talking about it in your level 10 meetings or your whatever structure you have, right? Your weekly meetings, like, hey, you've come across any great people when you were networking or when you went to that conference or that you collaborated with, right? I mean, and just being very intentional about it. And recruiting is a sales and marketing activity, period, by the way, too. So the front end of it, of recruiting by definition is seeking out and engaging somebody to come work for you. Is not evaluating. That's evaluating and a talent assessment. They're kind of two separate pieces of the hiring puzzle. So step one.
You're going to send me down an entirely other rabbit hole when it comes to clients, because then what now you're talking about is that, and then we're going to wrap. But the thing that I just find really funny about the second piece of it is that you spend a lot of time thinking about evaluating your talent and your team, but then you spend less time evaluating and thinking about, I think it's actually pretty much the exact same kind of mindset across both client acquisition and team acquisition, because you should be evaluating your clients as well. So that's another pet peeve, but that's a whole other line of conversation. So right before recording, you were telling me about a course that you have for hiring and an AI tool. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that you have for listeners?
Yeah, I think in the same vein of like, hey, let's start making hiring a bigger priority and paying more attention to it. This is a great start, right? So the fact-driven hiring, the $1 Million Hiring e-learning course, it's an 8-hour course. It's broken down into 40 different modules. You don't have to consume it all at once. You take it little by little. And also, if you're a leader who have leaders and you want to level them up, we'll give it to you for free. The hiring code's Hire Better. It'll be a link to it. Sign up for it. Go through that course is a great starting point, or give it to your leaders, help them level up as their hiring managers. And then the little hack is we created this GPT based on the thousands and thousands of hours of content, videos, things that we've done, and the fact-driven hiring system and the hiring expert in the GPT store. You can pick it up. You got to have the $20 subscription, but go through that. So that's a great planning process. That will build out your entire recruitment marketing stack for you if you just walk through the process.
Those two pieces.
And so it'll do it all for you. And I'd encourage people to do that. It'll help you build that project-based interview. It'll help you get interview guides, scorecards, recruitment marketing, like content, social content, ads, job descriptions. I mean, like training and onboarding program, like it'll just boom, create it all for you. And I really encourage people to go through that exercise and take it seriously though, when you do it, even though it is like magic.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that, Fletcher. I'll make sure everyone that it is in the show notes, and appreciate you joining the show today, Fletcher. It was really valuable.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening in today. With all of the shifts in the industry, it is easy to feel overwhelmed or unsure of your next move. So I'm not here to try to sell you anything. I just want to give back and guide you through the uncertainty. Whether you're navigating new trends or just need some clarity, we're here to listen and offer advice. Head to creativeagencysuccess.com/chat to book a free 15-minute chat with an agency mentor who can provide you with a fresh perspective. Let's figure out the best steps for your agency's growth together.